we've seen you in a million and one projects. Why is this going to be something fun for the people to see?
Well, first of all, I managed not to be in it, and I just directed it. And so what you'll see is basically me trying to put context from my point of view into the story. Working with some wonderful people, Jamie, the producer, and the actress, Lady of Rage. I mean, um, she was so good in this. I mean, I was delighted that she was able to step into this role and and allow herself to discover the character as much as she just portrayed her, but she also um, she really discovered her things about her, nuances and things that I really appreciated. It was a lot of fun to work with her, and good crew, good cast. A lot of these movies, such as these TV movies, we have to work fast and we have to work hard and we have to be very flexible because things change instantly. You head to a location, you go, we can't shoot there. Well, now what do? I've planned my shots for this location. But when you have people who work well together and they all have a vision of of what they think and what they would hope the story to be, and if we all get together and work, we turn out a nice product. I really like the story. It unlike the doc and a few other things, it gave you context to the story. And that's what's missing in so many stories now, narratives and TV and documentaries. People have forgotten one of the most important words in storytelling, context. And I think that that was my job to try to put some context um, uh, into the story in a way that, not that it made sense. Her life certainly didn't make sense in terms of what she wanted and what happened to her, but uh, telling her side and giving her some some breathing room in terms of the character. In a short amount of time, I'm very pleased with how we were able to capture her story.
So now, as the director, I mean, you kind of know what's coming and what it's supposed to look like. Was there anything that shocked you about her story that you might not have read or known before?
I think it wasn't so much shock as it was again, I hate to keep using the word context. When you look at where she was, I mean, decisions that she had to make for her own reasons, whether it was ego, whether it was family, whether it was to fight back, they were limited. I mean, she didn't have a lot of opportunities or flexibility in the choices that she made. She made them sometimes on the fly. She put them together without knowing the context of what it was going to mean to her mother, to her kids, to the people who, at that time, you got to realize, at that time there was no social media to the degree it is now, and also he revolutionized the way people respond on television and how they what they buy. I mean, she created a character that the world, uh, but especially America, just fell in love with the process, and they were buying it, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, they just was buying it, and she had no idea, I think, of what was happening to her. And when she realized that in the movie, you see when she woke up in a sense of realizing the amount of money that was streaming through this system that she was the face of and revolutionizing that kind of television that later went on and spun off into all kinds of things. Housewives of Atlanta. I mean, you name it. It was reality television didn't have anything like that they were doing. Um, so he had a real important, um, what is the word? Important deal with terms of not deal, but a very important um, commitment to TV at that level with that kind of run and gun, make it up as you go television to millions of people who followed her and sent in money. It wasn't so much that what she was doing was wrong as it is what she was doing was following this new kind of television and fighting on both sides. You know, a family, a mother who didn't really want her to do it, the business itself, and her own personal struggle. These are good stories. I mean, you don't certainly in that kind of avenue you don't see often. So I'm very pleased with what we were able to do with with what we had and the kind of money and the kind of stuff we have. It's very pleased. Again, the producing team made everything possible that they could. And whenever there was a change or something that had to go a different way, the flexibility was what I counted on, and they had that.
Well, I want to ask you a two-part question to close here. You've obviously been a part of a revolutionary television show that millions of people watched and loved. Are you shocked by the way you see TV going now? And now that you're in this directing role, what is your advice to people who are trying to get into it?
I'm not shocked by anything that television does. Television is not a nice guy. Television is a business. What I'm shocked by is what people have accepted as television. TV has reached a level of mediocrity that I never thought possible because I always thought that creativity would somehow surface, as the old folks used to say, the cream would rise to the top. Well, they eliminated the top. The cream would rise to the level of mediocrity. I am very pleased. You know, I've been doing this for 50 years. I'm very pleased to see the number of people of the African diaspora, both in the main United States and also in Europe. There was a series that just aired on Netflix a few months ago called Supercell. I know that one of the producers of that show. I'm happy to see that kind of content. It's well done, certainly at the top level of what people are able to do and tell a good story. But in general, I'm happy to still be a part of it because it's the only way you can tell stories that hopefully will have something to do with how people think about themselves, think about others. But I'm surprised that the stereotypes that were created in the 50s and 60s still work. And I'm surprised at the lack of, what is the word? The lack of concern for people who create content, who create television, of what it's doing to us individually, to our cultures, and to the world at large.
And what advice would you give to people looking to get in TV, hoping to change all of what you talked about?
Well, I tell you what I tell people that I do. I do training, not training. I do immersions into filmmaking. I do a filmmaking program that I travel around the world. I do it in Africa. I do it in historically black colleges, mostly in America. I do it in London with adjunct with the British Film Institute. If you don't have passion for telling stories, if you don't understand the power that you create with the words that you write or say or sing, do something else. You know, become something else. You can make a lot of money doing other things. I don't care what it is, but don't do show business. Don't do movies and